Welcome to a special edition of the Pro Wrestling Report as we look in depth at the current state of professional wrestling and its champions.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a very special edition of the Pro Wrestling Report here on a Sunday. It is No Mercy Sunday, David Hero, and a lot to talk about. Because a lot has happened in the wrestling world over the course of the last several days. Specifically, let's take a visit back to Bound for Glory last Sunday from TNA Impact Wrestling.
The BFG?
The BFG from the TNA.
You know
and,
what?
we saw...
Let's talk about Bound for Glory for a second. WWE, when they promote WrestleMania, what do they call it?
They call it the Showcase of the Immortals.
But what do they call the show?
It's a pay-per-view. They
call it WrestleMania.
Yeah.
When they have the Survivor Series, they call it the Survivor Series.
Yeah.
When they have Hell in a Cell, do they call it HIAC?
Are you talking about hashtags, or what are you talking about? Of course they call it. Those are the names.
But the talents in TNA, they don't call it Bound for Glory. They call it BFG. They don't even brand it. They don't even brand it.
They call it Mania.
They say WrestleMania.
They say the Rumble.
Royal Rumble. But they don't give it an acronym.
Okay, fair enough. But going back to BFG,
yes.
We saw EC3 lose in an effort to regain the TNA World Heavyweight Championship from Bobby Lashley.
Yes.
Now that in and of itself is acceptable, right? That's
sure.
fine. It
Bobby
was fine
Lashley
on Sunday.
Is a legit badass
and
MMA fighter.
Should be, or should have been, in your mind, the champion for a very long time, right?
Absolutely.
But he's not anymore. Because this past Thursday night on Impact Wrestling on Pop TV, Eddie Edwards defeated Bobby Lashley, 1-2-3 clean pin, to become the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion.
No, the new TNA Impact World Heavyweight Champion.
After a failed effort by EC3 on Sunday. Let me back this all up and let me first state publicly, Eddie Edwards is a tremendous professional wrestler. Eddie Edwards is a tremendous talent. Eddie Edwards is an amazing talent. Eddie Edwards is deserving of a world championship run. But the thing that's suspect here is the timing of it all. Because EC3 is a victim.
Is that they did a terrible job of putting it all together. First of all, you have EC3 and Bobby Lashley, two studs, two main event, two top guys, two guys that could be the face of the company. Go out there and they have their match. Eddie Edwards on that same pay-per-view earlier in the night loses to Damian Sandow.
Aaron Rex. For the Grand Championship by decision.
3 rounds, 5 minutes each.
Yep.
So Eddie Edwards can't beat Aaron Rex in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But he can beat a legit badass clean in Bobby Lashley. So
4 days later.
So that should make Aaron Rex the guy. And the thing is like, if Bobby Lashley would have came into the match injured from his match with EC3, okay, I get it.
Which they tried to tell that story a little bit.
Like, remember when Eddie Guerrero beat Brock Lesnar?
Yeah.
They had all the nonsense
Brock was vulnerable. Yeah. Because Brock had to be vulnerable.
Well, no, because Goldberg got involved also.
Yeah.
But it's just Eddie Edwards, great talent, but I just don't see how you build up Bobby Lashley to collect all the gold, dominate, and then he loses to a guy clean half his size and
EC3's smaller than Lashley too.
But he's a big jacked up dude. He's been promoted as a
Eddie Edwards is bigger than Dean Ambrose.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is Eddie Edwards was being pushed hard earlier in the year.
Absolutely.
And then that got derailed. So there was no emotion, no heat, no nothing into that match, and I just don't get what they're doing.
Again, I've made it clear, Lashley's a great talent. EC3 is an amazing talent. One of TNA's best homegrown talents, if not their best homegrown talent behind AJ Styles.
He's their only homegrown talent.
Eddie Edwards is a tremendous athlete, tremendous wrestler, deserving of a world championship title, a world heavyweight championship title run, which he now has. But it's the way we got there that we both take issue with.
Is it believable?
Is it believable? In today's wrestling age, it is believable. Eddie Edwards is a badass. You've seen his matches, most specifically his matches in Ring of Honor Wrestling, show you that he can take any beating from any man on this world.
This reminds me of when Bret Hart beat Ric Flair to become the world champion.
At a house show?
Yes. You didn't see it coming at all.
Yeah. But is that element of surprise a good thing or a bad thing?
No, it's a good thing, but he beat a healthy Bobby Lashley clean.
Had he beat a damaged, a vulnerable, a weakened Bobby Lashley, then this wouldn't be a story.
No. For me, at least. You like it? You happy with it?
I'm happy for Eddie Edwards.
You're trying to rebrand this company. Who do you want at the forefront?
Well,
let's be honest.
Well, it depends on what brand you're branding the company as. What is whatever this company is now?
You're trying to get new sponsors. You're trying to get maybe a better TV deal.
TV deal.
You want to have Bobby Lashley as your guy?
Lashley, who's participating in a Bellator match this week, next week, coming up soon.
Maybe that's why they took the belt off him, in case he loses.
But I think I've heard the argument that he can lose that easily and still be champion, right? That's a fight.
Yeah, but you don't want to do that to your champion. You don't want to have some guy outside the company.
I'm not sure he's lost. Has he lost a Bellator fight?
I don't think so.
So I don't think there's much risk there. But it's just the timing of it's weird. What does this do to EC3?
It buries
his image, if you will.
It is crippled. They have not booked him correctly for a long time. He was a great heel. Him and Spud were fantastic together.
Spud did make him great.
Never should have turned him babyface, and they did. And they haven't booked. He hasn't been booked properly. And from what I've seen on the other TV tapings, he's still not being booked properly. He went from a top guy. He's becoming Dolph Ziggler on Impact.
Well, now tonight, Dolph Ziggler could become the Intercontinental Champion.
Sure, he could.
That's not a bad thing.
After 3 years of beatings.
And being a former world champion, yes.
Yeah, EC3, former world champion.
So how do you fix EC3? He, the man, doesn't need fixing. His presentation
he needs to
fixing.
Start beating people.
Anybody tell me why?
Everybody. I mean, he's not winning. He's not being used properly. He is the guy you can put on any talk show and he will represent your company well.
In
he looks
visuals
the part,
and
he can talk.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got great charisma, and you're not using him the way he should be used. And I don't get it.
Are we being short-sighted here? Because obviously not the whole future is painted out for us, but maybe there is a reason for this. If there were a reason for this, what would it be? Can you find one? If there were a reason they were purposely sort of pushing EC3 off to the side, what might that be?
The reason that you have somebody else to take his spot, and I don't see it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Interesting discussion. It leads to another discussion, though, folks, and that is if you look at the current roster of champions in all wrestling companies, there's one interesting connection that we're going to talk about in just a moment when we come back here in this very special in-depth edition of the Pro Wrestling Report, looking at the state of professional wrestling and its champions.
Take a moment right now to subscribe to PWR on YouTube so you never miss an episode.
The biggest party event of WrestleMania weekend is back. WWE Hall of Famer Kevin Nash presents Shenanigans Orlando. Join Nash and his friends for a huge VIP party Friday, March 31st. Party with the biggest stars of wrestling at the world famous Mango's on International Drive to kick off WrestleMania weekend. Don't miss Shenanigans Orlando, hosted by Kevin Nash. Tickets are available now and going fast at PWRshow.com. That's PWRshow.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this very special edition of the Pro Wrestling Report here on No Mercy Sunday. It's in depth. We're looking at the state of professional wrestling and its champions. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Hero here. And just a few moments ago, David, we talked about the new TNA Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion of the world, Eddie Edwards, who defeated Bobby Lashley this past Thursday night on Pop TV Impact, after EC3 had a failed effort in attempting to do so on Sunday at Bound for Glory. So now that leads to an interesting scenario, David Hero. Let's look at them all. Let's look at the roll call of champions in professional wrestling right now. WWE Raw, your champion is
Kevin Steen.
WWE SmackDown, your champion is
AJ Styles.
TNA Impact Wrestling, your
Eddie
champion
Edwards.
is. And in Ring of Honor Wrestling, your champion is.
Adam Cole.
And those 4 men are connected by what one organization?
Ring of Honor. They're all former Ring of Honor stars and champions.
Is that not fascinating?
It's very interesting.
And when you say former Ring of Honor champions, they're not just that, they're former mainstays of the Ring of Honor
Yes,
brand.
they're
Or
Ring
current
of
in the
Honor
case of
guys.
Adam Cole.
They're Ring of Honor
Born
guys.
and bred.
Yes.
Now, some could argue AJ is more of a TNA born and bred guy,
But he
but
started in Ring of
yeah.
Honor.
What does it say, though, about the current state of wrestling, David Hero? What does it say about Ring of Honor
It
wrestling?
shows that the current state of wrestling is no longer about characters. Guys like Ultimate Warrior, guys like Macho Man, guys like Hulk Hogan, guys like Lex Luger can't be world champions anymore.
Well, come on now. John Cena's been champion for a while. Lashley was just champion in TNA. He's one of those guys.
But no. Lashley isn't a character. He's a fighter.
It's pretty real, yeah. You wouldn't say that Steen Owens is a character? And a fighter?
He's a little bit of a character, but I'm just saying that they're all cut from the same cloth.
Pure wrestling talent. That's the cloth they're cut from.
I hate to say it, they look like a bunch of frat boys, the 4 of them together. You know what I mean?
It's not a bad thing.
No,
it's
not
a
at all.
Factual statement.
But it's a different, unique
AJ's
look.
been in school for a long time.
Yes.
In this case.
But it's a different, unique look of wrestling champions.
Yeah. So let's take another spin on it. Let's go back 5 years and look at where we were in each of these same situations with champions in WWE, TNA, and Ring of Honor. So on Raw, you had the current champion as of today, 5 years ago, of Alberto Del Rio. But he was in the midst of that whole CM Punk John Cena thing going on. They were switching the belt around every month, it seemed, around that time as well. So you had, let's make those 3 the champion, if you will. Over on the SmackDown side of things, Mark Henry was in the Hall of Pain, being the World Heavyweight Champion at the time, 5 years ago. 5 years ago today, the TNA World Heavyweight Champion was the Cowboy James Storm.
Yes.
And 5 years ago today in Ring of Honor Wrestling, their champion was Davey Richards, who in just a couple of weeks from now, 5 years ago, would be followed by Kevin Steen.
It's amazing.
Alberto Del Rio, CM Punk, John Cena, Mark Henry, James Storm, Davey Richards versus Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, Eddie Edwards, and Adam Cole.
And here's the weird thing. I would probably take the top tier over the...
Do you take the current over the past?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Explain.
Well, because I think Owens, Styles, Edwards, and Cole, with the exception of ADR, Punk, and Cena, I think Mark Henry's been in a funk, hasn't done anything.
Oh, God, yeah.
And then James Storm, we haven't seen him in a few weeks.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so different nowadays. It's now wrestling moves based as opposed to working the audience and the crowd. Emotion. There's no emotion in matches anymore.
There is at times.
When was the last time you saw a good emotion-filled match?
I'm going to see it tonight between The Miz and Dolph Ziggler.
Okay, but it's few and far between.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Back in the day, they all were that.
Yeah, there was
Today
an
they are not
emotional
that.
investment. And right now, it's all about who can do the most high spots from the turnbuckle to the ring floor.
From the window to the wall.
Yes, exactly.
5 years from now,
Yes.
David Hero, it's difficult, impossible to
You'll
predict.
be almost 50.
I will not be almost 50 at all. Your math is very fuzzy. I really thought that when I turned the corner on primetime a couple of days ago and announced my allegiance when dressed a certain way to Donald Trump, that things would change between you and I. I really thought that you would appreciate...
I don't like clowns. They terrify me.
You don't have to call him names. He is the Republican candidate for president. He is my candidate for president of the United States.
So, if and or when he wins, are
Yeah,
we
when
going
he
to have
wins
the
on
party
November
here? We should have the party here.
I'm going to New York. I'm going to Trump Towers. I'm going
are
to
you?
be there just as well. Yeah, I'm going to be there, celebrate. I've got an invite.
Oh,
Yeah,
beautiful.
as a campaign staffer, I can go.
You can. Who's your plus one?
I didn't get a plus one.
Oh, forget
It
it.
says something about I have to donate to the charity to go.
Oh,
So
You didn't
if
do
I
that yet?
donate over a certain level, like $5,000, I can bring somebody with me. The Trump Foundation. Yeah. So we'll see how that all works out. But it's difficult to predict where we are going to be 5 years from now. But do you think the picture will be as drastically different 5 years from now as it was 5 years ago?
You're going to have a lot of NXT stars as the world champions 5 years from now.
Yeah. That you will. Because, another thing about today's champions, when I guess you could say back in that day as well, they got some years on them. None of these are spring chickens, if you will. Adam Cole being the youngest, I think. But, AJ Styles is up there. Kevin Owens is up there. Eddie Edwards is up there as well, relatively speaking.
It's just a different dynamic. I've said this a few times. It's a different dynamic. It's a different style of wrestling now.
Yeah. One that a lot of fans enjoy, including this fan here. So, folks, this has been a very special edition of the Pro Wrestling Report, PWR In Depth. Want to remind you to go backwards a little bit and check out last night's Be the Booker for tonight's No Mercy pay-per-view event.
That's tonight?
It is tonight on the WWE
Sunday?
Network. Today is Sunday. It is Sunday right now, as we speak. Sunday.
I didn't get the No Mercy notification.
You still subscribe to WWE Network?
Yeah.
Or did your free trial that you've used 12 times lapse again?
No. I haven't gotten it yet. What time is it on?
7 o'clock p.m.
Are you going to like
Pre-show
it?
at 6. Am I going to like it?
Yeah.
I can't predict that. I think I'm going to, but I'll let you know after the show whether or not I like it.
Who's your MVP going to be?
Who's my MVP going to be?
Yeah.
My MVP of the show is going to be either AJ Styles or Dolph Ziggler.
What if Ziggler loses? What are you going to do?
He's not going to lose.
What if he does?
He's
Think about
not
it.
going to lose. He's not
Are you
losing.
going to cry?
I don't cry about it. I'm a man.
Would you be upset?
I might be slightly disappointed for a brief period of time, but it's not an option because he's not going to lose. Why are you prodding me?
I'm just curious as to how you think.
Why? Why are you all of a sudden
This is a big
curious as to how I
pay-per-view
think?
tonight.
Yes, it is. No Mercy. And
It's the third one in 3
you
weeks.
booked it last night. I agree
Yes.
with some of the things you said. I disagree with more of the
There's
things you
not
said.
much you should disagree with.
Folks, that has been this special edition of the show. I want to remind all of you to subscribe to us right now. Stop. Subscribe right now. Just click that little button, little icon right down yonder there. Subscribe to us here on the Pro Wrestling Report. It is going to be to your benefit to do so, to make sure you never miss an episode of the show. For that one, ladies and gentlemen, this is Damian Nelson saying thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you again tonight after No Mercy on PWR Reaction, the live radio show at PWRshow.com, taking
Is that
your
what
phone
Meathead?
calls, and Matthew Thomas, taking your phone calls and immediate instant reaction to No Mercy.
I think I saw Meathead at the Bound for Glory pay-per-view.
We'll see
think
you
he was there.
tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us.